Okay, so what's going on here now? So I've taken the hinges off, out, and I've placed them, and what happens is that I've got no place to put a bolt right here. If I try to put a bolt right there, it's just going to pull this hinge down and just bend it. If I wanted any strength, I have to put something in behind it. So what I've done is I have outlined two little pieces here that I'm going to cut. Shadow. And these are going to 3.5 by 3.5 because the gap between there is about 3 3/4. So I'll leave a little about an inch gap. So we're going to cut this piece here. I'm not going to use the big rotary saw. First of all, it's noisy. I don't need it. A little jigsaw, and that should do just fine. That'll also be a little bit noisy, but not quite as much. So I'm probably going to wear some hearing protection. So that's the sun. Luckily I have a shirt on, but see. I can tell I should have worn eye protection as well because I've got some sawdust in my eye. So, yeah. Eye protection is important too. Alright, so I drop these guys in. Hold each one in somewhere. Oh, let's see that. That part is I'll put the nail in where the bolt's going to go. So that's going to be the worst case, just have to take the nail back out. The bolts, I want that snug up this side. I'm looking at where I want this, and I'll center this on that edge. Drop the nail. All that nail does is hold it, because once the bolt goes in here, this isn't going anywhere. About putting these bolts in, you can either pre-drill the hole. Wow, I'm crooked. You can either pre-drill the hole, or you can just do something that will guide the screw in. But these screws are pretty big. So I think these are some pretty big guys. That maybe a little pilot hole will help get the hinge in the exact right place. And that's going to take a little bit of time to sit down and work that out. So I'm probably going to do that, and then I'll show you what I did. Okay, one of the problems in putting in a hinge is figuring out where you want the hinge to be. I like it to split down here, split the edge. You can probably have it a little bit over so it's out a little bit as it moves and it doesn't hang. But just a hair, but you're pretty close to center, you're really good. Another handy tool is going to be this little punch here. I don't have to use anything with it, and I've got these little pieces in here. Guess we did that last time. But the punch is going to put me right smack dab in the middle of that hole, right there, where I'm going to put a drill. There are 3 little holes there. Let's get this one centered. And I'll put it right over the edge. And this will help keep everything right where I want to keep it. It can be a little bit out, but I don't want it bent. That's the important thing. I want this nice and square. Alright, there's my first punch. 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 Okay, now I can drill. Alright, now, I've chosen a drill, what was that is a lot smaller than the screw. And why? Because if you drill out too much, you're not going to have anything to hold to. It'll help relieve stress and strain on the boards that you're putting a screw in, but I'm not going to drill all the way down. But it'll leave enough that it does put a lot of force on the threads and forces the screw to stay in. So much smaller, at least like half. Okay, so let's drill some pilot holes here. Alright, I've got this set on 2. There's my drill. Enough to get us started. I don't need to go down all the way. Okay. Alright, same thing over here. Okay, so 6 little pilot holes. And the thing I need next is going to be a nut and an adapter for this. Let me go get that. Okay, now I've taken 6 screws out of the packet, and I don't want to take any more than that because I don't want them to get lost. So I've got 6 screws remaining, which is going to be the 3 top and 3 bottom. And then I've got a hex to quarter drive adapter, and here's a quarter. Now I've had to adapt that to a 3/8 drive to put for a 3/8 socket that fits these screws. And that, in this particular case, is a 1/2 inch socket. So I stick that on the end of there. Okay. And that's going to go in there. And this guy's going to go in there. I'll turn that back down to 1 so it's crank mode. And can I do this by hand? Maybe. I would rather okay, so I'm just going to get that one started because I want to get these other 2 in here. Doing all this one-handed, right? I'm going to get one of those head mounts. Okay, so it's going to take a lot more force to crank this guy in. The cam's going to have to go up a little bit, and I may have to use 2 hands. Okay. Alright. Okay, well, got this one in. Let's get these guys. Where are they? Right there. Okay. Now I get these started by hand, and I promise you didn't have the pilot holes in there, you would not be able to do this by hand. Before I go too much further, got that one. So once you get these bolts in here, you the only thing you can do if you don't have it right is to move the whole hinge. Okay, so this on will not be perfect. We'll see. I'll get the board up. You can see it's a little bit off here. I don't know if I can move that around a little bit, maybe. Adjust this. Maybe not. Okay, so we'll see. If I have to readjust it, then I will. It's gotten a little shady now. It's still warm out. You can see I'm still dripping hot out here. Okay, those are on. Now I've got to get the other boards on. Now the other boards, this board is going to have to go right there on top of that. It's a little bit different. I think that when I did the other gate, I moved it in close enough so that I didn't have to put that piece in. Let's see. Let me just go down a little bit. I have no, that marking's not going to do me, and again I'm going to use that as a guide. But that's going to go right on top of the hinge there. That's another idea. I could just paint over the outside of the hinge and no one's going to know. This one takes 2 nails. Each on each board, actually 2, 4, 6. So I'll have 2 nails here, 2 here, and 2 over there. But obviously I can't put a nail there, so I'm going to look for making sure I don't hit that. So it's going to have to go above and below. Got to see where it is before I put the nails in. So let's get those ready. Okay, so here's a part that we need to talk about because I need to put these are the board on the board, so this measurement is going to be a little bit odd. I'm going to need to put, it's going to sit right on top of those 2 bolts and go right over that. But the 2 dimensions I'm going to pay close attention to. When I'm going to put 1 nail at the top, 1 nail at the bottom, but I'm going to line the top up first. The first thing I want to make sure is I've got plenty of room because I'm going to put about a 1/2 inch in, right? So 1/2 inch in is just barely going to be enough to grab one of each of these boards and then go through the 2x4. I know where the 2x4s are because I've got these guide nails. They're right here, but I've also got a hinge. So I'm going to line up the top of this guy right here. And when I look at it, I don't really need the mark. The marks are not going to do me any good. So the only thing I can go by is this right here. Now I'll put 1 nail here. And I'll do that in a second. Alright, it's probably going to go here because it's going to have to go around. I'm going to get as close to this piece. I'm going to probably put the nail about there. That'd be a good spot. Maybe not. Maybe a little bit up. Okay, so that nail will go there. And then once I get this nail in, I will go down here. Make sure. Now the bottom is not going to line up. You're either going to line up the top or the bottom, but all these boards aren't going to be the same size, so the bottom is going to be a little bit not perfect. But the next nail is going to go about 1/2 inch in, somewhere over here. So it's probably going to go right about there. Now let me see if that's going to work. It looks like it'll go. But I line up, I get that top nail in, then I line this one up for the bottom nail and get that one in. Then I can put